What is going on? Hello, everybody. Yes. Hey, Lena. Hey, Scott. Hey, Craig. How is everyone? It's been a minute. Not that crazy, but it's been a weekend. What is today? Tuesday? Tuesdays are always just such a, I don't know, it feels like kind of a forgettable day. Doesn't it kind of? I don't know. We got Mondays are huge. Fridays are huge. Wednesday is the hump day, and Tuesday and
second Monday.
I know, it's second Monday, totally. Well, we're waiting for literally thousands of people to come in. It's been awesome. We've really seen as the weather kind of chills down. This always happens every year. We get so many more people in our classes, so many new people. So we're so thrilled about that. And I see so many amazing faces. Thank you all for being here and sharing your screens, which is huge for us. We love it. Welcome to Homemade. I'm Joel Gamron. I'm the head chef here. I am so excited about today's class because I grew up in Seattle. That's where we film from. So we are literally right on the Puget Sound, right on the ocean. And seafood was just always on the table. And I've said this before, but when I moved back east and I've moved around the country and even around the world, I've noticed just not a lot of people eat it. And there's so many different reasons why people, they kind of shy away from cooking fish regularly or seafood. I think the number one reason is people think it's going to make your house smell bad, or they're going to screw up the fish, or it's expensive. So we have partnered with what we know is the absolute best when it comes to quality of fish delivered straight to your door. If you're unfamiliar with Fulton Fish Market, they are, bar none, the absolute echelon when it comes to the best seafood out there. You can go to their website. We're going to put it in the chat. They're incredible. We've partnered with them on numerous classes. We're going to partner with them. We just love them. We're obsessed with them, specifically because you wouldn't think that good quality fish would arrive in the mail, right? It's not just fish. They have a lot of other things too. The reality is it does. It's hand-selected. It's curated by the best fishmongers. This is a New York City-based company. They've been around for over 200 years. Let that sink in. What is around for 200 years? I don't even know if anything is. What business stays in business for that amount of time? It is only businesses that are just incredible quality. So we'll talk a lot about them. We're going to put an incredible offer for you guys. It's $25 off your first order. So if you've never ordered with Fulton Fish Market before, $25 off. We'll give you all the information in the chat, or $50 off if you subscribe. And their subscriptions are so cool. We'll talk about that. But let's get into some housekeeping stuff. What separates Homemade from the rest of the world is that you can chat with me in real time. So if you are willing to share your video like so many people are, you do not need to cook along, just share your video. We are willing to call on you if you have a question, and we love that because we all learn from you guys. So raise your hand if you have a question, and if you're willing to show your face, please do it because we love it. If that is not your jam, which we totally understand, there's thousands of people tuning in from all over the world, we have Chef Kat, who is handling everything in the chat. Chef, how are you today?
I'm so good.
Yeah?
I am really enjoying the cold weather.
Me too. I know. This is when it starts to turn to the guard, and all the recipes start to change. It just starts to get cozy.
Oh, I love
Make
the
a
cozy
fire.
food.
Ugh, I love it too. And Kat, she grew up in Hawaii, which a lot of our regulars know, so she also grew up right on the ocean with seafood, every day.
Pretty much, if I wanted to.
So, for me, it's so healthy, it's so fast, it's so simple. We have to eat more fish, more seafood, and we got to do it from sustainable, incredible resources like Fulton Fish Market. So today we are making this incredible, we're calling it kind of crispy salmon, but it's really salmon en croûte. So it's salmon wrapped in puff pastry. What makes it awesome is you get this really crispy outside of the puff pastry, but because the salmon's inside, it steams. It stays incredibly succulent, incredibly moist. This is one of those showstoppers if you're having company over, but honestly, you can rock this out on an easy weekday night. So let's get started. It's got a couple of basic steps, but There's some tricky parts. So we'll dive in. First step is we're going to kind of make the filling to the salmon en croûte, to this kind of filled, crispy salmon. And the filling, there's two parts to it. One is what the salmon sits on top of, which is on top of the puff pastry. So it kind of shields the salmon from the puff pastry, which is potato. And then we have this really creamy, gorgeous charred mixture, which is kind of like a creamed chard, like a creamed spinach, but with beautiful chard instead. So first step is I have a pan, and if you're cooking along, grab a, skillet, medium-sized skillet, and add a good amount of olive oil. I'm gonna add 2-3 tablespoons of olive oil. We're on some high heat there. I'm gonna take it off a little bit. Whenever it smokes that much, you don't need that much smoke, so just take it off the heat. And then I'm gonna slice some potatoes really, really thin. Just like this. All right, I would say it's about 1/2 inch, if that. All right, and you can do this on a mandolin. We're not really looking for the nubs. These nubs freeze for a different time. We're just looking for like a nice, smooth, even kind of round, like this. All right, these are perfect. I'll hold that up. So you can see that compared to my finger. I mean, I've got some fat fingers, but I'd go with it's about half my finger, maybe 1/4 of my finger. So back on the heat we go. And I just take these puppies. You don't have to do anything except for lay them in. And try and keep it to just one layer. I also like to kind of go around the clock. A lot of our regulars who cook with us know I love doing that, so I know which potato is the first one I laid in, which is right here. So I go around the clock. I know this is the first one I'm going to flip. And then I can kind of just go from there. I'm going to grab a little tongs, and I'm going to salt and pepper these. A little bit from up high. And again, this is so not the potato show. This is all about the salmon, and the highest quality salmon at that. But these potatoes kind of help protect the salmon, so they play a crucial role. All right, little salt, little pepper. Got these potatoes going. Now, if you are cooking along, let's preheat your oven. So 400 degrees, I've got my little tabletop oven here. 400 degrees is all you need Fahrenheit. And potatoes are cooking, ovens are warming. We're in good shape. Kat, how are we doing in the chat? Any questions, any interesting thoughts?
We're doing pretty good here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. I'm curious if anyone's ever made this before, anything like it. It's kind of like last year we did a salmon Wellington, like a beef Wellington, but with salmon. Super light, gorgeous. This reminds me of that, but I actually like it a little bit better because of this cream spinach bit. And honestly, the way we're doing the puff really traps in the moisture. So again, the most succulent salmon you've ever had. All right, so these potatoes are just cooking. We're not even trying to get them brown. We're literally just trying to get them a little bit cooked, right? So I'm just literally going around the clock. You can use tongs. You can use a little, yeah. Now, if you get a little brown like that, not the end of the world, but that's not really the goal. The goal is just to make them toothsome. All right? Toothsome means just barely cooked, because they're going to steam a little bit too. They'll cook with the salmon. Oh, these look awesome. Just a fast way of cooking potatoes too. I'm going to do this last one right here. There you go. All right, so potatoes are cooking. We're now going to get stuff ready for this cream chard. Now, if you are not making this recipe and you just want to have this as a side dish, yeah, that's a great idea. Unbelievable, this side dish. Super simple, basic steps, rock it out. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner, guys. I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe you don't get tired of it. I get tired of the green bean game. I'm a little tired of Brussels sprouts. I'm a little tired of peas. So it's nice to kind of do something new that maybe people have never had before. I'm telling you, this cream chard, winner. It is a total winner. So I know I don't want to mess with your menus. I know everyone's, got their kind of traditional stuff, but this one's a good one. So we start with some shallots. All right, this was one shallot. We just cut it in half. And then for a shallot, it's just like an onion. So you just kind of cut down into little strips, right? And then I'm going to use the chef knife here, this awkward angle. little strips, and then this into little bits. And you don't need it to be microscopic thin, just like nice little pieces that are, bite size. Beautiful. No more than that. That's perfect. All right. So we've got that chopped up. And then I've got a little bit of garlic. And by a little bit, I've got 3 cloves. That's a lot of garlic for this amount of greens. But I love garlic and greens. I absolutely love it. So whenever you see any recipe that's like spinach or kale, double down on the garlic. Trust me, greens need them. They love them. All right, so I'm just slicing the garlic super thin. You do not need to have crazy knife skills. Just kind of get it cut down. And then once you kind of have the garlic in little coins, you can kind of get this whole mess together. And I kind of put my hand on the board. I put my knife under my hand, right? So this is always staying down on the board. And I just run my knife through this whole mess. And just kind of even it all out.
Call that a community mince.
Why do you call it that?
Because everybody's in there getting minced together.
I love that. I'm stealing that. All right, that's awesome. So, yeah, we're trying to kind of just get the garlic and the shallots around the same size. That's exactly right. This looks really good. God, this is one of those smells, even as you start chopping it. I just didn't cook with a ton of like shallots and garlic in the summer. But you start chopping this, smelling the potatoes, and you know something good is on the way. And it's that kind of warm winter feeling we were talking about. So gather this all up. And at this point, the potatoes should be, I said the word toothsome. They should be tender. So grab a little knife, poke it in, and if it easily comes out, which this does, these are good to go. So what I'm literally going to do is just grab a plate and remove these potatoes. And again, a little crispy is fine, but that's not the goal. The goal is cooked, right? Cooked is all we want. And they take literally about 3, maybe 5 minutes if you cut them a little bit big. These look great. I'm into these. I'll hold that up so you guys can see. Easy, right? They look like thick potato chips. I'd eat that. So far, we track it. Everyone's okay?
We were doing good.
Good. All right. So the pan is still on a medium-high heat. The recipe calls for you to cook the potatoes in a separate pan. I like to do it. Let's save the dishes. Let's save the dishes all day, every day. Pick up that garlic and shallots, and in we go. There's still some leftover oil from those potatoes. So let's just go right in. Right? Oh, smells so good as that hits the heat. And I'm just kind of moving the pan and moving the shallots and the garlic. Obviously, we just don't want them to burn. If they seem a little bit too smoky, you have 2 options. One is add a little bit more oil, which kind of cools down the pan and gives them a little bit more frying surface area. And the second is to just turn down the heat, right? Which I'm going to do.
Chef, we can also add butter to that too.
Am I supposed to add butter to that?
Yes.
That's Kat's way of saying, don't go more oil, go butter, which I love. All right, I'm going to add a pat of butter. I'm going to save a little bit of this because I used a little bit of the oil. I have an idea for this later. So a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil. Doesn't really matter, but let's be real. Butter's butter.
We do like butter.
We do love butter. I don't know. It's especially with some really good chard. And, oh. All right, so we're just kind of caramelizing this mixture. While this mixture is kind of just lightly caramelizing on the pan, which smells so freaking good, we're going to break down some chard. You can use kale, you can use spinach. Do not feel like it has to be chard. But what I like about this recipe is that we're going to use the leaves, and you can actually use some of the stems too. So the way I handle chard, Luke, can we go to, is I kind of just hold it up by the stem, and I just strip it down. So you get the leaves like this, and the stem comes out nice and clean. So I kind of hold it upside down, pinch the top, and strip it off. Guys, these classes with Fulton Fish Market have been awesome. The response from you guys is crazy. A lot of you guys have ordered I don't know if anyone's willing to share, but a lot of you guys have become subscribers, customers of Fulton Fish Market, and like are sending us emails like it's never been the same. Like it literally is the best way to cook seafood. We totally agree. Also, just the amount of choice is crazy. Like when you go to the grocery store, there's like 10, 15 choices of different things you can do in that category. On Fulton Fish Market's website, hundreds. I mean, so different types of crabs, different types of prawns from all over. And I love it. And it can get to you literally, depending on where you are, in 24 hours or less, which is crazy. All right, so I'm just kind of chopping up this chard. And as I chop, I'm noticing that my garlic and my shallots are kind of just where I want them. So instead of just chopping it all, just start adding it, because we want this to start to wilt anyways. So we're adding a handful there, gather up a little bit more here, and I'm just kind of rolling it and chopping it. Super easy. All right, you could chop it a little more if you want, but that's about right. So everyone in the pool. And by the way, no need to dry it. Like if we wash this and it's still a little wet, totally fine. All right, so we're just gonna start cooking this down. Now, if you really want it to start to wilt quickly, you can grab something like a lid or a pan. This is a good little restaurant trick. And just for like 30 seconds, just stick that on top. That way the heat, right, it gives all that steam rising up, and then it just bounces back down onto those greens. So it's gonna really wilt quickly. How are we doing in the chat? I'm just gonna clean up real quick.
We're doing so good. Patty said that they regularly order from Fulton Fish,
Yeah.
and like the quality, the shipping, and the customer service are all great.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about so this is the deal with Fulton Fish, and we'll get into it a little bit, but this fish market used to only be available to chefs way back when. Only restaurants, only in New York. They would have fishmongers say, okay, this is the best fish of the day, this is going to this restaurant, and it wasn't open to the public. But recently, right, that's when they opened up, and that people like us who cook at home and who are not in the restaurant business get access to some of this incredible just bounty from the sea. So they are literally curating like little jewels. And you would think it'd be like really expensive. It's super approachable. So I'm so glad to hear that. There's so many perks, so many perks. All right, look at that. Just 30 seconds of me running my mouth. And these greens are totally wilted. It's amazing how much they just cook down to nothing, right? So we mix that up. This is a great time for a little salt, a little bit of pep. And we don't have it today, but there is a secret ingredient when it comes to greens, sauteing greens like this. Does anyone know what it is? It's a spice. What do you guys think? Always add it to greens if you have it. We just don't have it today.
Angie says nutmeg.
Yes, Angie nailed it. You guys, there's something about spinach, kale, chard, and nutmeg. It just, I don't know what it is. It's this thing that you just add to it. Just a couple, right? Like a couple of swipes on the microplane or just a little teaspoon, a little pinch goes such a long way. And people just want to know, what did you do to these greens to make them so savory and delicious? I'm telling you, it's all about the nutmeg. So at this point, the greens are cooked down. Look at that. Remember how much it started with just like 3 minutes ago? Now look at it. It's almost gone. So I'm going to blast the heat at this point to about an 8 out of 10. So you're almost going to start to hear it fry. All right? Very normal. And then if you have some white wine or some vermouth, we've got a little vermouth, give it a little splash. That's just going to steam it, but also sweeten it, right? And deglaze the bottom of the pan. Smells incredible. So this looks great. And then I want you to kill the heat. So turn it off. And we call for adding a little bit of cream cheese. And I kind of do this in little bits like this. So I take it off the heat and then add little bits of cream cheese. Cream cheese has that tang that is just, normal cream, those types of things just don't have. And if we left the heat on and cooked the cream cheese, eventually the cream cheese would split. It would just kind of break. I'm sure that's happened to you before. Totally normal. So we just let the residual heat of the pan kind of melt everything. You can see it just kind of starts to come together. Oh, that looks so good. Just going to give it a quick little wipe. Cream cheese, by the way, probably my top 5 favorite foods of all time. I know that is so random, but it is so good. And my kids we go through tubs of cream cheese. We love it. Are you a cream cheese fan, Kat?
I love cream cheese, honestly.
It's so good.
I always go through phases once in a while where I'll just eat bagels.
Oh, really?
And with lots of cream cheese on it.
Why not? I guess there's a lot of reasons why not, but hey, it's cream cheese bagels. It doesn't get much better. Guys, check this out. You guys can see the cream cheese is just about melted. Look at that. Look at the texture of that. Caramelized onion, garlic, soft cream cheese. I mean, crazy. And if this wasn't enough, a nice handful of Parmesan cheese right over the top. That's just going to add a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of savoriness. And you just kind of beat that Parmesan and that cream cheese in, and you are left with just the most delicious. I mean, look at that. Insane. At the very end here, this is a great time. I mean, we're going to be talking salmon. Grab a little lemon, roll on it, cut it in half. You only need about half. And in we go. And that just kind of brightens everything. It kind of just brings it all together. I like the lemon at the end versus doing it like while the greens are cooking because it just stays so vibrant and light. This looks awesome. See, I would serve this in a heartbeat for my Thanksgiving, but my family won't let me do stuff like that. As a chef, they don't let me experiment. It has to be the same thing every year. It's the same 5 things. And like, I get it. I get it. It's tradition, but at some point, I'm like, can we serve this insane cream chard? Like, unbelievable. All right, so chard is done. It's hanging on the side right here, just kind of cooling down. Just to recap, we have our oven, 400 degrees. We've got some potatoes, which are cool to the touch and cooked through, just lightly fried. Now it's going to get a little crazy. You guys ready for this? It's going to get a little crazy. So we are going to start to build this. And again, for as good as the cream chard is, for as good as all of this is, this recipe would not be good if it wasn't for the quality of salmon. And this is one of the few things I can just kind of hold up to you guys. And you can just see the blushing pink, kind of the rose of the salmon. This was sent to us frozen. There's no burn freezer marks, nothing. This is Atlantic, gorgeous, top quality salmon, totally pin boned. You don't have to worry about that. It just comes to you ready and portioned like this. So if you love salmon, you absolutely have to try Fulton Fish Market salmon. They have tons of different varieties. This one is super economical, incredibly buttery, and we're just obsessed with it. And this is coming from a guy that's from Seattle. So it is really, really top notch. So salmon there, and again, I'm just calling it out again, $25 off your first order, $50 off if you subscribe. The subscribe thing is so cool. So I just grab, to build this, a piece of parchment, put it on my cutting board, and can I get the puff, my dear? The puff has been in the fridge, so Kat's going to go grab that. Puff, meaning puff pastry, is one of those things that for this recipe and all recipes, I wouldn't make it. Even though we're called homemade, there's certain things. We put out an article last year, what I would buy and what I wouldn't buy homemade. I would almost always buy puff pastry because it's really hard to make. You have to laminate the dough, fold it over the butter, fold it over the butter, laminate it a million times over until you get these layers. And at this point, they just have it down pat. So it's really easy to buy. But when you do go, it's always in the refrigerated section. And I would really look for the ingredients. So go in the back of the actual package and look for the word butter. That is the key word, okay? If it doesn't say butter and it says any other type of oil, the flavor is just not gonna be there. So butter, puff pastry, that is the key. Buy it at the grocery store. Now, my friend Ariana, she is gluten-free, and she said she found some puff pastry gluten-free at the grocery store. I'm wondering if anyone can share tips around that, because that was news to me. That's a new product. So I'm excited to hear that for all our GF friends out there. So apparently now you can do this totally gluten-free. So we took off the dough from the actual packaging and kind of unfolded it, and it always comes with like these 4 squares, no problem. I'm just gonna cut it in half. And we're gonna kind of make these individual pockets. Really, really easy. You don't need any extra flour because the parchment's there. It's gonna kind of help release. So step 1 is you just want to make sure everything is ready to go. The one thing I want to get is an egg. And I'm just going to, in a separate bowl, beat this egg. And this is obviously just going to help glue it together, but also give it some shine. So I'm just beating 1 egg in a little separate bowl. And really beat it, guys. When you just kind of stop after about a second, it doesn't mix the whites and the yolk, and you won't get that beautiful caramelization. I like to take this pastry almost to burnt because it really gives it a crispy texture, and this really helps you get there. And then I'm just going to put a little brush in there. Cool. All right. So step 1, we've got 2. I'm going to keep these a little bit more separate so you guys at home can really track. 2 very separate little pockets here. And we start with the potato. So I'm just going to grab the potato and we're going to lay this down just on the base. Don't these look great? Again, no one's really going to see these, so it doesn't really matter if they're brown like this, but it does look really nice. And again, it's so not the potato show. These potatoes will be fine. They'll be delicious. But they're there to protect the salmon. It is all about protecting the salmon. So now I grab just this perfect portion of salmon and I just kind of lay it right on top of the potatoes. Pretty easy. All right. So puff, potatoes, salmon. We're tracking. We're doing okay? Okay. Kat's saying yeah. Any questions on this stuff yet? Are we okay?
Could you go over why we're using that potato below the salmon again?
Yeah, it's just protecting the salmon from the puff. So we want the bottom of the puff pastry to be really crispy. So we don't want the salmon juices to seep into it to make it soggy. And at the same time, we want the salmon lifted off the top of the puff pastry so steam gets all the way around it and keeps it incredibly flaky and moist. Good question. All right, so now we get into that cream spinach mixture and you just kind of grab a spoonful and don't you dare be shy. And you just kind of paint this mixture. Oop, there we go. And I don't want to see any bits of salmon. I just want to go full board cream spinach. I can smell the lemon. I can smell the Parmesan. It just works. This is one of those recipes that when we tested, we all just looked at each other and said, come on, this is not fair. This is such a good recipe. All right, how are we doing so far? Everyone can track and see this okay?
So
Luke, yeah?
our salmon still has its skin on. You can take it off if you want to, right?
Totally. Yes, you can totally take the skin off if you want to. I don't mind it in this. I kind of like it, to be honest. It adds a little oiliness to it. Works for me. But if you want to take it off, you can. And then you just pick up this puff, and you can kind of give it a little bit of a stretch, right? And like a ravioli, you kind of want to press it and really squeeze out the air. Just like this. Really squeeze it out. Shape it too, to where you want it. So I'll do it again here. Pull over the top and really shape this. You have this one moment, right? Once you bake it, it's not going to look anything like you want it. You're kind of out of control. So this is where one moment to really get all that air out. The air, you know, obviously it just makes it less crispy because it just has pockets. So you really want to just kind of surround the salmon like that. Just be a little bed for the salmon. And then I just kind of trim a little bit of the excess, but you don't need to. But I like to do that. I'm a chef. Presentation matters to me. This is looking like a grown-up Pop-Tart, and I'm all about it. All right. Now, give that a little rip. That's okay. You just want to shift these back. And this is totally for reinforcement, but I also think it looks really nice, is just to use the back of your fork and just give it a little bit of a pleat, right? Just give it a little bit of a press. And just really press the dough, the two layers into each other. And this is where, you know, I always say with cooking, you can sit here for hours making sure this looks perfect, like the perfect pie crust. But we really don't want perfect. We want homemade. We want something that looks like you made it. Each one's individual. So if one's a little bigger, if one's a little smaller, don't worry about it. That is what's so fun about this. Get the kids involved. Let it get a little messy. As long as it's crimped down, it will hold a nice tight seal, and it will look great. That's awesome. I mean, how great do those look? So now I did this on parchment so I can kind of transfer the parchment over. I'm going to put this here just in case. And at this point, you have just this perfect little bundle of joy, right? Sitting right next to each other. And this is when you want to paint it. So you have that egg wash ready to go. And this is what's going to keep it so nice and golden brown. Now, it's really tempting. Just glob on all that egg. But you want to kind of shake off most of the egg and then just do a nice light layer.
We've got a great question actually from Karen just in.
Yeah.
What sides would you recommend to make with this?
Oh my gosh. This to me, because of the puff, because of the richness of the salmon, I would go with a really simple salad. That is what I want. A crunchy, leafy green salad, radishes. Nothing too sweet in it, like I wouldn't put berries or anything like that. Nothing too cheesy, just a neutral, beautiful salad. Maybe some fennel in there would be really nice, some shaved carrots. That type of thing would be great. Some mint. But you want to keep it light because this is really the showstopper, and it's so rich that you don't want anything competing with it. Cool. All right, those are painted. They look awesome. And then just to allow it some space to breathe, we just put a little slits in it. And when you do it, you really don't want to carve through it. It's just a light little touch. See how you can kind of see and poke in, and if you need to kind of re-go. But see how it kind of just opens up like that? So I'm really just barely dragging my knife through it. Right? Because it will kind of open up more as it's in the oven. You can give a little bit of flaky salt over the top. And then you've got a couple options here, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to hold this up so you guys can see. I mean, those look incredible. Tell me one person that would not be thrilled with those. Those are awesome, right? So at this point, you can pop them right into the oven. Although I would say if you can, give them 15 minutes in the fridge. That just allows the butter and the puff pastry to set and allows the mixture to kind of set on the salmon and everything kind of melds. What you can also do is stick this in the fridge, cover it with plastic wrap, and then bake it the next day. Honestly, you could probably let it go for 2 days. Nothing's going to happen. So if you have company coming over, get them all lined up on a sheet tray. And then when everyone comes in, pop them in. And they go in 400 degrees, which we're already preset for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Cool? So while those are baking, although those we're going to just put, actually, we'll put those in our other oven here. We thought it would be fun. We talked about this, Fulton Fish Market being the just absolute epicenter of the best seafood in the world. And the holidays coming around, you might want something that's a little bit more, indulgent, impressive, different, showstopper, easy. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our sidekick today, king crab legs. These come to you steamed, ready to go. You can steam them yourself just to kind of take the chill off. You can pop them in the oven for about 5 minutes just to take the chill off. And then honestly, there's so many ways to go about this, but just bringing a bowl of this to the table, to me, represents something special. This is not an average night at your house. This is something different, something just, whoa. I'm sure when you saw me drag these out, it's like, wow. Not a lot of people have Alaskan king crab. Fulton Fish Market has the best, sweetest, top quality Alaskan king crab. And so what you do is you literally just kind of pick them up and you take kitchen shears, good set of them, and Luke would probably want to get it nice and close here. And you can see there's meat inside. Whoop, I'll put it down here. So the meat's inside, and then there's the shell kind of right after it. So you want to kind of just nestle your shears between those two things. And you can just tell the quality of this because of how easy it is to cut through. Sometimes they're muddy, they're difficult to get through. You can cut through the joint here too. And you just open this up, and what you're left with is, look at that. Just pure, sweet, perfect crab meat. Unbelievable. In fact, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm just inspired. I'm going to put a little bit on top just to go crazy. I love it. I'm obsessed with this. So I'll show you guys that technique again. The knuckle itself, you can cut separately or you can let someone kind of dig in, but I kind of like to cut that off and just kind of have a really clear, straight line for you to follow. But I just kind of hold it, our shears go in, nice long cuts, not little baby cuts. And then you can kind of just open it up like a little present. And I just love that you don't have to worry about it. It comes to you ready to go. And it literally tastes like it just came out of the ocean. Like, unbelievable. And this is how I want to do it. I want to kind of tear it up. You'll see how I'm going to. So for this one, I'm just going to almost peel it apart. You can cut it if you want, but I just want like a nice, big, gorgeous pile. That looks awesome. Oh, I'm excited about that. So we just wanted to do a quick little lesson. Another great thing to do, I'm just going to keep cutting these open because they're a little bit addicting to do. It's just kind of fun. But another really fun thing to do is to open them up on one side, open them up on the other side, right? So what you're left with is kind of two little boats like this. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to make a little space here. And then you just grab a knife and you just kind of cut that king crab just right down the center. And you put it back in the boat like this. And then you make some unbelievable garlic butter with tarragon or parsley or a little bit of mustard or Worcestershire. And you just slather these with butter. And then you put them in the fridge and you don't touch them until company comes over. You turn on the broiler and you just have a sheet pan of these gorgeous handheld king crab legs. And you just broil these for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just so the butter is melted. There's just a little bit of chill taken off the crab legs themselves. And you serve these, you can serve them at room temp or piping hot. People lose their minds over this. Lose their minds. It is the easiest holiday appetizer. As a chef, I have served it so many times, and people are like, what did you do? And I'm like, it is not me. It is the crab. It is just the best quality crab, and people just forget that king crab is just, there's a reason why it's called the king, right? So I'm just going to shred up, and I'm going to leave this rather big and bite-sized because we should celebrate it. But that is King Crab 101. Again, just another thing that Fulton Fish Market handpicks, curates, gets from the best source possible. So again, I'm going to keep calling it out. $25 off your first order, $50 if you subscribe. And what's really cool about them is they put together, especially for the holidays, we've been talking a lot about it, they put together these little bundles. So there's like the Thanksgiving bundle, there's other types of bundles that are going to be totally holiday relevant. So if you want to try a bunch of different things and have kind of a little reduced cost, have a really interesting little bounty, check that out. The bundles are really cool. And these are all good off the bundles too, these deals. Okay, perfect. So at this point, let's zoom through time. How are we doing in the chat?
We had actually a really great question.
Yeah.
Could you assemble these like salmon pastries ahead of time and put them in the fridge for like the next day?
Yeah.
Or you can freeze them?
I mentioned that you can do them for the next day, or they're good for 2 days. You could freeze them. I'm thinking about the freezing question. You could freeze them. The fish itself might build a little moisture, and it would make for maybe a soggier pastry. So I would probably not freeze them, and I would honestly just put them in the fridge 2 days max, assembled, and they're good to go. All right, got a little platter here. I mentioned that I would do a little salad with this. We have this incredible little Click and Grow garden. So if I come over here, they have like this amazing rocket. It's like wild arugula. Cut this, some fresh arugula, and some gorgeous, what is this, little baby bok choy? It's like almost like purslane. This is gorgeous. So just a little pile of greens. We love growing our own things in the kitchen. It just, when you try it, doesn't get much more fresh than that. So peppery, so delicious. So this is what it looks like out of the oven. You guys ready? I said I kind of wanted to hug the line, but look at this, of burnt. But that's what I look. I like it really golden. I wish this side kind of got to the same level, but good enough for me. Unbelievable. I got 2 of these puppies. And then if I flip it underneath, just see the consistency. That's the potato. It's not at all soggy. It's crispy all the way through. That's why we have the air vents, and that's why we have the potatoes. Grab a little glug of water here. How are we all doing? Does that all make sense? Those look insane. Those to me are everything. So serve it like this, or cut it kind of right where the slit is. Yeah, perfect, Luke. Kind of on the bias. I mean, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Potato, cream spinach, perfectly cooked salmon. So I just start kind of plattering this up. You can kind of stack it like this. I'll do another one right here. Again, it's so easy and so impressive. And honestly, so different, in my opinion. Look at those. It's like a little family of love. That looks amazing. All right, next up, I mean, not in the recipe, a little indulgent, but we've got it. We just opened it up. These gorgeous, lumpy, just incredibly sweet king crab. Just kind of over the top. This is just going to complement everything so nice. Crab, salmon love each other, obviously, live in the same area. They're going to be very happy together in the same dish. And then I've got these greens. These are just peppery. You can add a little bit of lemon over the top of them just on the board like this. Just a little bit, right? Just kind of toss them through like a little impromptu salad, but keep them really crispy, really light. And just kind of let that shower right over the top. Throw some lemons around for some color. And I don't know, guys. It doesn't get much better than that. Crazy beautiful. Crazy beautiful. Can we hold that up here? Bring that to the table. See if anyone doesn't come back for more. It's unbelievable. It's just one of those recipes that just hits every time. Speaking of which, time for me to try what's going on here. Cat's laughing. This is, twist my arm to eat king crab and the best salmon money can literally buy in a flaky butter crust. Excuse me why I do this.
Yeah, I can't believe you're getting excited over something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. All right, I'm going right for the middle here. Save that bite for another day. But yeah, I want the cream spinach, I want the layers, I want the potato. Just doing a little bit of the king crab right on top. It's not a lot of words that can describe that what just went down in my mouth. Buttery, melts on your tongue, pure indulgence. You know, homemade is meant to be approachable, and this is approachable. Put the king crab aside. These are stunning, they're impressive, but they feel so decadent, right? They feel so special and just different and luxurious. It all works. The lemon, the cream greens are stunning. You would never think to just pile those on top of a beautiful Atlantic salmon. The crust just keeps everything so succulent. This is just a better view. You can kind of just see how flaky the fish got. It's perfectly cooked. We tested this to the nines to make sure, and it is awesome. Oh, killer. Yeah, that's going back on there because this team is about to devour this. You guys, we say it once, we say it again. There is no one that competes in our mind with Fulton Fish Market. 200 plus years, the best fishmongers around, New York City, right to your doorstep, depending on where you are, 24 hours or less. And they're giving you guys a deal that no one else gets. Again, $25 off your first order, $50 if you subscribe. The subscriptions are awesome. We touched on it before, but you can subscribe to salmon, have salmon come to you all the time. Squid, shrimp from all over the world, different types, different varieties, ones that you've never tried before. So check them out, Fulton Fish Market. We will put all the links in the chat. This dish is going down as setting the precedent, I think, for the holiday season. It doesn't get more exciting, more interesting than that. King crab over a salmon en croûte. Yeah, that's what life's all about. Guys, tomorrow we have the ultimate autumn spread. If you're interested in making cheese plates, we have some homemade little goodies that we're putting on that plate that's going to really elevate your game. You're going to want to check it out. So that is tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we have a sweet potato shepherd's pie. Totally different play on it. I love the sweet potato. It's healthy, but it also just plays so well with the pie filling. Those are what's going on then. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you to Fulton Fish Market for all your support. And guys, we'll catch you tomorrow. Happy cooking. Take care, everybody.